topics that we discuss here are for general real estate and educational purposes only, and it is not considered investment advice. Real estate is risky. Each transaction is different, and we will not be held liable, and our speakers will not be held liable for any real estate investment decisions, actions, or results at any time under any circumstance. So do your own research. Always seek individual expert advice, and get the advice of an attorney, accountant, investment professional, or any other professional services. All right. So this is myself. I'm Anna Jenkins. I'm a real estate broker in both Virginia and in Florida. We have our own brokerage where we do both sales and property management. We are also investors. I first started investing in my 20s when I was in the military. I got a duplex in Norfolk, Virginia, and I turned it into a triplex. So 10 years ago, Rick and I really started investing though. And as you can see from our conversation tonight, we started with house hacking. Now we have mid, long, and short-term rentals in multiple states. And we've also done some note lending, which Chuck was on here earlier, but he's had to go. But we've also done that. And Rick, what else would you like to add?
So we're always constantly looking at figuring out how we can rent something out. So last year I put my car on Turo. That was an interesting experiment. I rented it out once and didn't do it again, only because I'm kind of like a control freak and I'm fearful of people using my car. So, but we bought a motorhome. And we're going to try to figure out how we can rent that thing out next. What I'd like to do is put it in a campground for them so that they don't drive it around. Because again, I'm a control freak. But we're just a little different. We are willing to try house hacking. We're willing to try roommates. We're willing to try to rent out our basement. We're willing to try cooks who cook for us in our home. We're looking at exchanging, housekeeping services. We've tried it all. And all I can say is that we've learned from those experiences, and that don't be like me and be so fearful like my cat is of, his own shadow. Because I am a little bit fearful. Sometimes, like when we first did Airbnb, I told Anna, this was in 2011 or 12, and I could not sleep that night where I had a stranger in my house, because when I locked the bedroom door, and yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But I overcame my fear and I rented it out 6 or 7 more times after that. And then I said, I'm sick of cleaning people's sheets and pillows and towels. This Airbnb thing is not for me in that format. And now we've got 6 more. We got 6 of them. So someone else is doing that cleaning. Someone else is doing that laundry. So all I can tell you is, what do they say in the military? Something about adapt.
Adapt and overcome.
Yes, adapt and overcome. And that's why I'm so excited about the speaker tonight, because even though there's not a lot of homes out there, there could be some land opportunities. So I'm excited to hear what Brent has to say, and let's all try to adapt and overcome. We can all try and get out of our own way. Thank you. You're muted again.
The next thing is that we are a member of National REIA. So by becoming a yearly member, you get all of the National REIA benefits, and it is $70 per year also. So you get the Home Depot benefits, all the different things, REI Pro, things that can help you in your real estate investing. Okay, so tonight we do have Brent Bowers. On July 27th, we're going to have in-person networking at the Wegmans in Fredericksburg, and Rick and I will, no, that's August. Sorry, I was going to say we'll be there. We'll be there at the August 24th networking one. August 10th, then Dr. Paul White is going to be talking about utilizing technology to power your investments. And then we have some others, more speakers actually coming in September, October. We're always looking for speakers though. So let us know if you know someone that you'd like to share their information. Another topic that's come up is somebody had asked if we could go over analyzing a deal. So we may do that in September. We'll just kind of see what that looks like, or if I already have someone on the board for that. So, okay. Did those, we are going to go over the statistics now, Rick. Are you ready to do that?
I'm ready and
Okay.
able. So we're going to do Fredericksburg, and then we're going to do the state of Florida. So I'm doing this because I've got two different audiences, and it's what's so interesting is I look at the data here, and on one hand, I'm shocked. On the other hand, I'm not surprised. You've all heard the story, inventory is down, and the data shows that. If you see the number of new listings at 652, and if you compare that to what the 5-year June average is, we're down about 250 units compared to what the 5-year average is. And if you compare it to even the month previously, we're down 5%. And if you compare it to last year, we're down 30%, almost 30%. So yes, inventory is very low, but this is good for some people. It's good for people who are selling their homes. So it's still a seller's market. It's great for builders. Builders still now can, sell their inventory. There was a lot of fear at the beginning of the market, COVID, everybody was tightening up, but I think this has been a blessing for the builders from what I've heard in the news. And because they're able to manipulate a little bit of the interest rates. I don't know if that's just a big builder or if that's if small builders can do that, but they can help contribute to that process. The other thing that you'll notice, looking at the numbers in terms of going left to right, pendings are also down compared to the 5-year June average, 564 compared to 762, and down 17% from last year. Closed sales are also down from last year, month on month, taking in the seasonal effect, are down 16%. And it's also about 200 units below the 5-year June average. But because of that low inventory, the Fed's increasing the interest rates hasn't really had an effect so much on the median sold price. So you'll see Fredericksburg encompasses Stafford, Spotsylvania, Caroline County, King George, Westmoreland, and and Orange. And so you can see that 450 is what the average is, but the units are down. So not the same number of units are being sold, which has helped keeping the sales price up. Now, if you look at what it was June of 2022, it's pretty much stayed flat, a little 2% increase. So what? It's cost of inflation. But if you compare it to the 5-year June average of 388, that's up about $70,000. So there's still a impact of keeping prices high because inventory is low. Now, if you look at the chart with the purple line and the blue bars, the median sold price is the purple line, and that gives you that 450 that I just finished for the month of June. But if you compare it to how many closed sales, and you go June to June to June, June 21, June 22, and June 23, you can see that there's less homes being sold, but it's being sold at that higher price. Next slide.
So it all comes back to supply and demand. That's what it always comes back to.
Supply and demand, totally. All right, so now here is the number of active listings, 851. You can see it's on the low end of the spectrum of the mid and the max. The average days on market is holding at 18. That's very low. I mean, very low days on market. I did a search on my own just to see if there were any homes that were on the market after 90 days, because I said, maybe I'll make some offers. I couldn't find any. All the homes were under contract after 90 days. So that was an idea that went bust. But if you look at the average days on market, 18, if you compare it to June of 2022 last year, it was 11. So it's slightly increasing, but it's still very low. And then the big tell is the average sold to the original list price. It's selling for at or slightly above the asking price. So if you're looking at thinking of making a big deal, a big discount deal, it's going to require a little bit of work because those homes usually are going to sit a little bit longer, or it's going to be a dog or something like that, a big negative. But most homes are selling above the original list price at 100.4%. Now compare this to Florida on the next slide. And these are the May numbers, not the June numbers. And I wanted to kind of point out a couple different things that are similar to us. So again, comparing May 2023 to May 2022, closed sales is down 8.5%. The ones with the median sold price, look at the median sold price. It's flat. It's pretty much what Fredericksburg was doing. So prices are crashing in Florida. Now, this is the state of Florida. It's not a particular market. So every market's different. But what is also interesting is if you look at the inventory has started to increase compared to that of last year, of May of 2022. So it's increased 46%. And the supply has also gone up. So this is 2.7 months of supply versus 1.4 months of supply in May of 2022. Look at the number of days time to contract and time to sale. So time to contract, it's definitely increased from 27 days this year to 9 days this year. So things are starting to slow down in the state of Florida. It is that time of the year where this is our slow time. Unlike Fredericksburg, where it's summertime is our hot market. This is where there's not a lot of activity going on. Most people have limited hours here. All the snowbirds have left. It's like putting your head in an oven because it's so hot down here right now. And so, and the number of listings is also down. So that's propping up number of new listings, 29,000 compared to 37,000 last year, is down 22%. So that's helping to keep the average sales price or the average median sales price flat. And that's what we're seeing in Fredericksburg. That's what we're seeing in the state of Florida. Does anybody have any questions?
One other thing I wanted to point out that you didn't, but so that paid in cash, I don't know if you guys noticed that. So it's down 23%, almost 24%, right? Which in Florida, that's huge, right? Because like it took us over a year to buy a property in Fort Lauderdale because we didn't want to use all our cash. Like this property that we ended up buying, we're down here because we just had all new windows installed. We had to install a pool, things like that. And this was still a big money property. But we didn't want to use all of our cash for over $1 million property. And so they're also getting a little bit of a slap in the face with the water because more people are financing now in Florida and they're having to accept those deals. So, which is very interesting. Brent, did you want to add, you're shaking your head, did you want to add something about that or? No, okay.
No, I was just coming on camera. I've been keeping it off because the kids have been
don't
running
worry.
like crazy.
Don't worry. But yes, so that's what's very interesting also about the Florida market is because a lot of it was cash and now it's decreasing to where they have to then accept the financing. So that's good for other people. And that's what this market has done though, guys, is it has allowed people, in a lot of ways, there are still multiple offer situations now, but there was a time period, just like when there was that time period before COVID, it was like the calm before the storm. And that's how we got some good deals down our first duplex in Florida on the water. We got a great deal on it because everybody was scared. They were running scared. And we were like, okay, we're buying, And so, and that was kind of the same thing with this property that we got. It was kind of a calm before the storm, and now people are adjusting to the higher interest rates, and so now there's multiple offers again because there's no inventory. So things will keep changing. You just got to keep adjusting and keep running your numbers, and if your numbers work, put an offer in on it. That's the whole thing. All right, so Brent, it is now your time, buddy. So Rick, do you want to introduce him or do you want me to?
No, I'd be glad to. I read your bio. Brent Bowers, he was 8 years in the military. Is that right, Brent?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you for your service. His interest in real estate began in 2007 when he purchased his first home. And he began exploring the real estate investing bug and journey while supporting his family. And in that short period of time, he was able to expand his business, hire a team, and most importantly, spend more quality time with his family while still helping and working hard in real estate. But Brent is here to talk to us about land, but he actually invests in all different types of real estate. He loves sharing his investment strategies and buying and selling vacant land, and enjoys sharing his expertise in this area through his online coaching course. And Brent, where do you live? Where do you put your
I
sleep
live
at night?
in Vero Beach, Florida, so not far from Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to introduce you and hear what you have to say about investing in land.
And Brent,
Yeah.
I also put that multiple participants can share. So if you need to share your screen, you're all ready to go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, this is great. So thanks for having me. Are you guys ready for me to just unleash or
You
like?
just unleash the
Unleashed. And Vero Beach, was that where you started your land business, or you've been kind of all over the place?
No, I mean, there's no way I would have had a land business out here. It wasn't possible because I have only done a few deals in Vero in the last couple of years that I've lived here. So thank God, because yeah, I'll tell you, it's just getting snatched up. I mean, the same Florida market that you guys are seeing in these houses. My mother-in-law actually works for a title company, Supreme Title, and she told me the same exact thing you guys were just talking about. The cash deals are slowing down. We're seeing more financing. So everything you guys have been talking about is just spot on. I love listening to it. And it's so funny. I just installed one of those code door lock things on my one of my pool door today because my wife keeps losing her key. We haven't locked our door in like I think 2 years now. So I was like, I'm just gonna put door codes on them. So, and we used to have them on all of our rentals and our Airbnbs. So I'm like, why don't we have them on our own house?
Right.
So I love
Awesome.
hearing about the Airbnbs as well, because I actually house hacking and Airbnb was actually how I was able to kind of start paying my credit cards down before I found land. So it was really nice hearing all this today. So yeah, how long do you guys usually go until? So I know like when I need to shut my mouth.
Normally you can have about an hour if you'd like.
Okay.
Usually, or if it goes over with questions and things and people are still engaged, then that's fine too. So, but
Well,
usually
feel
about an
free.
hour.
I love it. Well, feel free. Anybody come unmuted, interrupt me. I won't look at the chats because I can't do two things at once. But if you come on screen or interrupt me, please ask questions. I want this to be interactive. There's nothing for sale. I want to just kind of tell you exactly how I operate in my land business. And I'll just start from the beginning. I did 8.5 years in the military. My first, I did a couple of combat deployments. I was preparing for combat deployment number 3. My first marriage did not work out because I was always gone. My first 4-year enlistment, I only slept in my own personal bed about 8 months. So that was really hard on a marriage. And then I met the woman of my dreams, remarried. We started having babies, and guess what? History was repeating itself, and I was preparing for that 3rd combat deployment. Anna, like the train up's about 6 to 8 months minimum, and then you're gone for 9 months or a year. So you're technically away from home for like 1.5 years. So I did not want to keep doing that and going through those motions. So I was desperately searching for answers, listening to all the Bigger Pockets podcasts, reading the 4-Hour Work Week multiple times, to where it became like, man, I feel like I'm idolizing this book. I need to stop. But it actually taught me a very valuable thing, and that was leveraging virtual assistants. And then I heard about land because I was wholesaling houses. I had a real estate license in 2007. Ultimately, why I joined the military, it's not because I got out of high school and went straight to the military. No, I got out of high school, got a real estate license, bought my first rental property, and then joined the military when I failed in real estate. So many people are trying to get started in real estate, and they beat themselves up if they're not making money in the first 6 months or 8 months or 9 months. It took me from 2007 to 2016 to make money in real estate. Finally, do the math. And like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of real estate professionals, they think that, oh man, I'm going to be successful in the first 6 months. Well, you got to look at what doctors and attorneys go through to be successful in their career. We can make a lot more. And I hope I don't bash any doctors or attorneys on this call, but we make a lot more than doctors and attorneys. But here's the thing, we got to put in the time and go through the gutter. So I'm here to talk about land. Honestly, I started with rentals. Then I started wholesaling houses to pay for college. Then I started flipping houses. Then I bought apartment complexes. And then I found land. I wish it would have been the reverse opposite, because land, I'm not dealing with the tenants and the termites and the trash and the Airbnb cleanings. I had 3 Airbnbs at one time. I only have 1 left now, which is our lake house. And I'm trying to pay that thing off so I don't have to Airbnb it anymore. But it's incredible that someone else pays for our vacation rental. But how did I find out about land? I was searching for answers. I heard a guy on a podcast talking about how he's doubling his money pretty much overnight. And at that time, I had almost a $12,000 Amex bill from mailing homeowners to try and wholesale houses. And I was desperate to figure out how to pay that off, because I was ultimately trying to get out of the military and the house business wasn't working for me. So I was like, you know what? If half of what this guy says is true, this is still way better than what I've got going on. So I immediately started sending a postcard to landowners that were tax delinquent. Basically, they were not paying their taxes on their land. How did I find this list? I went to the county treasurer's office in Colorado. That's where I started my land investing business. It was in Fort Carson, Colorado Springs, not in Florida. Later on, I got in Florida because my dad was out here. So I got him started in land. My 6-year-old father is doing this. He's done 50 land deals now.
Wow.
He buys them and he sells them on Facebook Marketplace and Facebook buy sell groups. I finally got him using a land specialist realtor, and that has made his life so much easier. But it took me years to figure that out. Like, I've made so many mistakes over the years, and this has been a learning process. But I immediately started mailing that postcard to the tax delinquent list. And if anybody wants a copy of that postcard, I still use it today. I use some other forms, but the postcard still works. We do it as a change up. I'll send what I call my blind offer, my land offer letter. And I've been triple split testing that, and it's actually working better than postcards, better than checks. And I will give that to you guys today. If you go to thelandsharks.com/postcard. And if you want the land offer letter, the blind offer that's working better than everything else, I've been triple split testing this. Go to thelandsharks.com/LOL. And if, hey, Larry, yeah, if you want to get the postcard, just go to thelandsharks.com/postcard. I'm going to pause for a second. Like, Anna, Rick, I don't want to just talk the whole time. This is your show.
So
No, it's all good. I actually just put that in the chat. So thelandsharks.com/postcards, right?
Yes.
I want to echo some of the things you stated about real estate. Real estate is really hard. It's really hard. And it's hard. I mean, I want to just echo what you said, because you're giving up your weekends, you're giving up your evenings. If you're a buyer's agent, because you kind of pick a lane, buyer's agent versus listing agent. Listing agents have a little bit better life, but they're still getting the calls on the weekends because they're handling the showing request and they're handling offers that are coming in. And Anna was number 1 in the office at Keller Williams. I was number 2. She had virtual assistants. She had 3 people in the office that were supporting her business, but she ran herself like a crazy woman doing what she's doing. And I was chasing her. I was number 2, but I tell you, there was so much sacrifice doing that business. But what I learned from catering to some of my clients were investors. And I learned what was important to them. And I started to look at properties through their lens. Like, I'd ask them what was important to them. I never had any clients that were investing in land. And so I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. I've listened to several podcasts that talk about, how you can make up such great markup doing the postcards. And I love the fact that using tax delinquent deeds. I'm not sure how you get at that information, if it's just in, like in Colorado, certain states, like land theory, they have different kind of states that have different types of the way they practice real estate. But anyway, I just wanted to echo, because it just brought back, I know some of you guys may not have your license, but I remember knocking on doors, and I owned a neighborhood, and I was very proud to own this. Nobody knew I owned the neighborhood, but I knew that I owned the neighborhood. And I would put on these garage sales as a real estate agent. That was my thing. This particular, the neighborhood, I got a lot of business from that neighborhood by just being very persistent, but it took so much time, and my quality of life did suffer. So all I can re-energize and repeat to other people is getting into real estate investing helps supplement. I'm still in real estate and I still enjoy it, but I have a little bit more control over it now. And I love the diversity that real estate investing has brought to me. So.
No, that's so true. And I see it. I even see it with my land sales real estate agent that sells the land. I mean, I say, hey man, it's Friday. Happy Friday. He goes, it's just the same day. It doesn't matter. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's all the same. He actually gets busier on the weekends, and I feel bad. I'm taking off, and like he's selling the land on the weekend. And my first marriage, my mother-in-law was my real estate broker. That's how I met my first wife, and she never was off the phone. And I was just always thinking, she's always working.
Right.
Her time's flexible. She can do what she wants. She can make her own schedule, but she's always working. So, why I invest in land is because, I love, most people have no clue what to do with land. There's virtually no competition in this. And Rick, I want to answer first, how to get these tax delinquent lists. I was going to the county treasurer in Colorado. Florida, okay, we call it the tax collector. And see, here's the thing. These are very small lists and you run out of these pretty quickly. There's better ways to do land deals. But if someone's very limited budget, I would recommend 2 lists, the tax delinquent list and above that list, the code violation list. Why would vacant raw land be on the code violation list? Well, here's the thing. I own about 300 parcels of land all over the country, and I've got several right now on the code violation list. These are parcels of land that I have sold, and the buyers and this is the dirty part of the land business. There's 2 dirty parts of the land business. Well, 3 actually. One, sometimes your buyers bring a bunch of junk on the land and the neighbors call and complain. So that's code violations, trash, inoperable vehicles, high weeds. So I've become on the code violation, I think on 3 parcels of land right now. We've mitigated it. We actually canceled the contract for deed for this buyer because he actually moved onto the land. So he breached it. But long story short, we were already profitable on that parcel of land. That's the dirty part, number 2. Sometimes we're profitable and we have to take the land back. Number 3 is there's nothing to depreciate. You guys are talking about these rentals and these Airbnbs and these buildings. You have so many tax havens or tax benefits because the IRS or the government, because we're providing housing, they give us a special tax benefit. But here's the thing. The reason why they give it to us is it's called depreciation or cost segregation, is because buildings are like apples. When they hit the ground, they rot or something eats them. Land, there's nothing to depreciate. So there's no tax benefit in land. So I have to use my income from my land that I'm getting taxed on, my profit, my not even capital gains, it's ordinary income tax. So it's even worse. And I invest it into buildings, apartments or houses or Airbnbs. I'm actually trying to get in more commercial because that just goes a lot further with the cost segregation. To really, I'm just trying to eliminate my tax bill ultimately. So how to find these tax delinquent lists? I just called the county and I said, who is in charge of keeping track of all these people that are not paying their taxes? And I had to talk to multiple people. They thought I wanted to pay the back taxes and earn interest on my money. And I was like, no, I don't have any money. Literally I was broke and I had no time. I was working 14 hours a day for the military at that time. No, I want to get in touch with these landowners and I want to reach out to them and see if they'd sell me their land at a discount, and I'll catch the taxes back up when I sell the land. So I sent out 687 of those postcards, and the phone started ringing. And the first one was a guy, literally, he said, I'll sell it to you for $285. He's a retired CPA. And that was the amount he owed on the back taxes. And a CPA doesn't want to have a tax bill. And so I was like, well, you mind if I go look at it? This was in Palmer Lake, Colorado. I had no clue what I was looking at. There were 2 lots side by side, non-buildable, because there was only one ingress, one egress. And the fire department would not allow anybody to build on that road. But the next road down, there's like $500,000 homes at that time in early 2016. Now they're like $1 million homes. So I went and looked at it, and I was like, you know what? There's a real estate office about a mile away from here. I'm going to call them because they're the experts. They probably know what the heck this stuff's worth. So on a Saturday, the realtor answered the phone. God bless her soul. I was like, hey, what is a 30-day blowout price for this land? I told her where it was at. She was very familiar with it. So she knew exactly what was going on. And I said, what's the get her done now price? Because I really can't, I didn't tell her what I was paying for it, but I couldn't leave $285 locked up into that piece of land, because that was diaper money back then, and formula and all that garbage.
Food.
Kids. So she goes, I don't know about a blowout price or the get her done now price, but I think you could sell it for about 10,000 on the MLS. And my brain started, I was like the light bulb went off. I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to trade $285 for 10,000. This is the best deal I've ever done. So at that time,
that is so cool.
I was thanking her for her time. I said, I will call you as soon as I own it. And if you'll list it for me, let's get it done. She goes, okay. And we hung up. I'm telling my wife, and she calls me right back and offers me $5,000 for the land. And I was like, let's do it. She bought it for me a week later. So I paid the seller $285 on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I went and picked up my $5,000 certified check from the title company.
Wow.
And I just kept doing them and doing them. The second one was even better, because I sold it for $500 down. That's what I paid for it, $400 a month. And that's where the passive income came from. And I was like, wait a minute, this is like a rental, but this buyer never calls. He never needs to fix anything. There's nothing ever broke.
That's awesome. So how do you establish, a value in your mind? What is do you have a walkaway price?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm willing to buy. And do you have certain criteria, like your buy box? Is it over 10 acres is outside your buy box? How do you establish a buy box for land?
Yeah. I wish, I was going to say, I wish I was that complicated. I'm not analytical at all. So it's evolved over the years. For a while there, it was like, okay, if I can make 3x what I'm going to pay for it. So if I buy it for 1,000, I need to sell it for 3,000. How did I figure out what stuff was selling for? Oh, I'm not a realtor anymore. I let out continuing education was there's no way I can do all that stuff. That's a lot of work. And, I'm a lazy land investor. So I would buy stuff for 1,000, sell it for 3,000. So if I knew it was selling for 15,000, I would buy it for 5,000. Well, that was on more outskirts of town, in the middle of nowhere, the desert.
Right.
And then it turned into a job. And I haven't had a job since 2018. I don't want a job. I left a job, and then I created myself another job. And I was spending all this time. And then I did a land deal, and it made me $78,000. And I was like, wait a minute, that land, I literally had a realtor call me to list it. It sold itself in a week. I was like, there's something to this. So I started looking for more in-demand parcels. So I got on Redfin, got on Zillow, and I put in my area, Colorado Springs, and I zoomed out. I went to basically all filters. This is Redfin, all filters, sold, then land. And I started looking at what was going on in the past 30 days. I wanted to see heat maps, or I wanted to see solds. And that told me, oh man, that area of Divide or Colorado Springs or Yoder, Colorado, that's where the land's selling. In the last 30 days, there's been 7 solds. So I would zoom in, and I was like, oh man, it's all in this neighborhood. Well, what size parcels? And then I figured out they're these parcels are half size or half acre parcels. So that's the in-demand parcel size in that area that's in demand. And then I started pulling the whole entire list of that neighborhood. And this took me a year. I'm telling you, this like took years to figure this out,
Right, right.
but I would make 10 grand in less than, less time than it took me to make $2,000 or $3,000 getting this cheap land, buying it and then selling it on the Craigslist or Facebook or putting signs out. Now I could sell it on the MLS with a real estate agent because it's a little bit more expensive. Real estate agent actually makes a commission and we just rinse and repeat. So now that's how I find the areas. I go on Redfin, I put in Orlando, Florida. I go to all filters, land, solds. And if we're looking in Orlando, we could only look in like the last 7 days because it is like gangbusters. So that like the 3-month works in maybe places like, I don't know, Colorado or Alabama and Georgia, which great land areas, but that's all I'm doing. So basically I'm buying this land at a discount and selling it for more. One we just did the other day, we bought for $40,000 and I actually used my mother-in-law's money to buy it. So we're paying her 9% interest. Her payoff is 5 years and her payment's $800 a month. So she's pretty happy now. Her money's working for her because it was just sitting in there safe, doing nothing. And now she's making $800 a month, 9% interest. But we're going to have her paid off in 5 years. Well, my buyer, it took me a little while to buy this land because we had to go through probate. My buyer came in with 5 grand down and he pays $946 a month and he paid us $90,000 total. We're financing $85,000 of it at 12% interest. So I kept the 5 grand up front. So it's almost like a sandwich lease option. You hear people talking about that. So I was paid at the beginning. I'm paid throughout the 5 years because I'm keeping the difference of $800 and $946, which is $146 a month. So that'll be about 7 grand over 5 years. And then after that 5 years, when my mother-in-law is paid off and my buyer still has 8.5 years to go, I'm going to collect another $90-something thousand. So altogether, it's $102,000 net profit that we'll make on this land deal if he goes the whole 13.5 years. Right. But here's the thing I've seen. Most of the time, they only go like 3 to 7 years. And like, I didn't create that. The banks figured it out a long time ago. Because if you look at 30-year mortgages, the first 7 years is what?
Interest. That's what the banks do. Yeah.
First 5 to 7 years is pretty much all front and loaded interest because they know people move every 5 to 7 years. And they also sell because markets go up, markets go down. People sell when the markets go down. People sell when the markets go up. It's just crazy. It's the same thing with stock market. Most of the time people sell when it crashes. So the banks have figured this out. So they put that interest up front. So now we started selling more land on 30-year mortgages.
So is there a particular areas that you like to, I call it fishing, because it sounds like you're so good now. You can go national, you can go to all 50 states. Is there certain states that you like to fish in for land?
Yeah.
Or or do you like stay away from this state or stay away from that? Is Virginia a good state to fish in? I don't know. Is Florida a better state?
Yeah, me personally, I'm more of a localized investor. I like the local stuff. So when I was in Colorado, my main focus was Colorado. And then I bought a tremendous amount of parcels in Arizona because it was a great deal. I bought 123 parcels with a partner that used his 401k. Basically, we bought 123 parcels at $300 a pop, so roughly 45 grand total. And we sold them all for about 4,000 a pop. So pretty decent markup. A lot of them are still paying us monthly payments. So we're roughly about 22,000 a month in payments. At one time we were at 41 grand, but that's back when we were doing the 12-month loans and 18-month loans. Because someone told me, you want to get your money back as fast as possible, velocity of money. Well, now I have a total different shift on the mindset. I don't care when the money comes back. I just want monthly payments because this is a lifestyle business. We literally just took 2 weeks off. We took almost all of the month of March off. So I could never have done this with a real job. But when I get paid every single day from land, we have 69 notes, 69 parcels of land sold on seller financing. So I'm paid like multiple times a day just from landowners. Cool. Now, sometimes they stop paying. So we send them a notice of default. They get a late fee automatically. Sometimes we have to take it back. So, but I found if I collect at least a $5,000 or more down payment, I've never taken any of that land back. Will it eventually happen? Probably, because one of my students just took one back that he got a $14,000 down payment on.
So you don't really, you like to fish where you're living, it sounds like, like, so you did it in Colorado, you happen to know Arizona, but it was cheap because relatively speaking to Colorado and Colorado Springs. And are you doing it in Florida much, or
Oh,
are
yeah. Most of it's within about a 3-hour radius of where I live at in Florida.
Gotcha. Now, your help, are you using VAs, or are you using somebody local, somebody you can put your eyes on and help you with this?
So I have a very, very small team. I have a part-time acquisition manager. He's a young engineer. He develops sprinkler systems for commercial buildings. He's actually, I think, in France right now. And I have a executive assistant that works about 30. We pay her for 30 hours a week. Whether she works that much, I don't think she does. And I have an accountant. That's my in-house accountant. She only works with us. So that's what my team is. Now, at one time, we had 15 people, virtual assistants, several acquisition managers, an office in Colorado Springs. But we didn't need all that. We were also flipping houses and renovating 8 houses at once, building on our lands and doing the land business. And my wife told me one day, she's like, I don't really like you. Like, you're just an angry psycho. And I was like, but I'm providing all this and we're doing all this stuff and having all these vacations and brand new cars. And she's like, that was not part of the 5-year plan. You were to get out of the military so we can have quality of life. Her love language is quality time and like just spending time. And like, I had 15 employees and all I was doing was babysitting. So
Yeah.
reduced
Herding cats.
Yeah, I was herding cats and I was only doing deals to pay the team. Now we're way more profitable. We completely closed down the house business because my accountant said, hey, Brent, your house, but you're paying for the houses with land, right? I was like, what are you talking about? And then we got burnt with that increase in interest rates and last year, this time, July. Oh man, it was a nightmare. We lost like 150 grand on 3 different houses, 150 grand a piece. And the land paid for all of it. So I was like, from this day forward, we shut down everything. We canceled almost 90 phone numbers. And I was doing it for my ego. That's all it was.
Right.
I wanted to be better, as good as my friends were that I was listening to on podcasts. So the thief of happiness was comparison.
Gotcha. So when you're analyzing, you're obviously looking at the tax records. Are you contacting these local governments every month for a list, or are they automatically, are you on their, you've developed a relationship where they're just sending it to you every month, and how is it, or are you doing it all online, or is somebody doing it for you?
So now I use PropStream. I don't mail to the tax delinquent list anymore. Because here's the thing, when I go in and I find the areas of demand and I see it's in a certain neighborhood or a certain zip code, I will mail every landowner in that area. I don't care if they're behind on taxes. I don't care if they bought the property yesterday. Because here's the thing, a lot of my competition, they only mail people that are out of state and are behind on their taxes, or out of state and they've owned it for 10 years. Will you do deals? Yes, you will absolutely do deals. But what about my sister-in-law that literally just inherited a piece of land and she lives in the same state and has only owned it for about 3 days and she wants to get rid of it yesterday?
Wow.
Who's calling those people?
Nobody.
Sending land offer letters?
Brent is.
So yeah. So that changed quite a bit. Again, with the code violation list, the reason why that's a hot list is for people that want to mail very small amounts. And also I know that because I've looked at a lot of these deals that have closed. See, I'm almost like a double agent. I get to see what other successful land investors are doing all over the nation. And we do land deals together. A lot of people are like, aren't you creating your own competition? No, not really. Whenever my students also bring me the deals and we do them together. And sometimes I sell them deals. So they help me as well. So it's I don't go after the tax delinquent list anymore because a lot of times these counties are starting to charge for this as well. And I pay $99 a month for PropStream.
Right. Right. Yeah. I've had on and off, I've done prop stream for houses. On and off. And then I'll get to a point of, well, I gotta cut expenses and I'll turn it off. But I haven't done it for land. So that's very interesting that they have that. I've just never played with the land part of it. I've just only played with homes.
Rick, I love that you said cut expenses, because as our income increases in business, and this is me personally, I'm sure no one else has ever experienced this, but as our income increases, so do our expenses. And then we have some slow months, like Anna talked about, when the music stopped, and like, who doesn't have a chair whenever the interest rates went up? So we had a slow couple months. But what I noticed was my expenses stayed up here and my income kind of went down, because we weren't flipping any more land. We weren't wholesaling any more land. We were just getting our monthly payments. So I was like, man, our cash accounts are getting eaten up pretty quickly. So I can't even take credit for this. I told my coach, I was like, man, I got to cancel all these things. He goes, don't even cancel it. Don't call the companies. Don't renegotiate it. Just report all your debit cards and all your credit cards lost. So what happens now? PropStream has to get in touch with me. DocuSign has to get in touch with me. MailChimp has to get in touch with me. All these providers to get my new card number. And now it's my time that I can renegotiate. So MailChimp gave me 3 months for free. DocuSign, I realized we had 7 freaking accounts at $40 each. I'm sorry, not accounts, but logins at $40 each. So 7, 14, 21, 28, $280 a month. Is that right? 7 times 40. Now we're only paying $40 a month. Same thing with Adobe. Like, people I had fired years ago still had Adobe. We saved thousands of, like, if anybody listening to this, like, you want to save.
I love it. That's a great idea.
That is really a great way to reverse engineer it, though. I love that advice of like, okay, just put your card as lost, because when COVID happened and we didn't know what was going to happen and all that other type of stuff, we immediately, like, we had our office lease was coming due, different things were happening and all of this advertising, all this other type of stuff. And we're like, okay, let's look at all the expenses and see what we need to do. But that's a great way to do it, because then they've got to come to you. So that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. In one of our Airbnbs, we were paying $55 a month just for interior bug spray, like $55 a month. So I asked my mom, because she manages our only Airbnb that we have left. I was like, hey, can you see if our cleaning crew will just spray every once in a while as they see signs?
Oh, good idea.
How much that cost us? Nothing. Well, I'm sorry, we had to buy the bug spray, which is like $15 at Home Depot. And it's, when we were there last week, I saw it was still there.
That's a great idea.
So $55 a month. And like, look at the profit and loss. We treat each parcel of land as its own separate P&L or profit and loss. So we've got all these little micro businesses. So there's so many ways to increase income. Same thing with our land. We started charging a $25 a month note service fee for each parcel of land. That's pure profit. And then we also charge a documentation fee of $275 for each parcel of land, because that pays for when we sell it through a realtor, through a title insurance company, that pays for the mortgage and the promissory note, or the mortgage and the deed of trust. So usually a title company charges us about $150 to write those documents, and we charge $275. So we now make profit to have those documents completed. Interest rates. At one time, when I was selling this land, I was doing all this on 0% interest, because I was like, oh, I'm marking it up. That's good enough. Well, now we sell it for exactly what it's worth and charge interest, because now that allows me to use private lenders. And I'm telling you, like, private lenders love lending on our land deals, because we're buying it less than 50 cents on the dollar most of the time, sometimes around, let's just say less than 60 cents on the dollar, because I just bought one the other day that was a little bit more expensive, but it's a larger parcel. So it will make us that. We just bought 5 acres in Daytona Beach for $153,000.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah. So I think a tiny home builder is going to buy it. But going back to that, where was I going with this? Oh, because we're buying it less than 60 cents on the dollar. So our private lender is in a good position. We don't touch the money. We get them a lender's title insurance policy. And if we don't pay, like usually there's a land buyer already paying, but if we don't pay, they take it back via foreclosure. And it's not in the risky stock market. It's tangible. You can build on it. You can grow on it. You can farm on it. It's not like Coca-Cola or, whatever, Anheuser-Busch or Budweiser with like their stock literally just plummeted because someone's bad decision.
Right, right.
I can't mess up the land unless I go pour 55-gallon drums of oil on it or something like that. So there's just so many benefits of it. And here's what's really cool is a lot of times the sellers will seller finance us at principal only payments. What am I saying here? 0% interest.
Right.
So
Right.
my
That's
balance
sweet.
came down pretty quickly, and we do a wrap, and now we have sold it at 12% interest. So we're just doing what's called positive arbitrage. We're getting paid $800 a month. Our payment to our seller is $400 a month, and we keep the difference. You guys were talking about cash flow of $50 a month on a rental. Like I have a rental property that we purchased. It was a great deal. We needed to buy it because, my CPA tells me usually every September about how much real estate we need to buy as far as buildings to not have such a large tax bill, because the land is taxed at ordinary income. So we bought this house subject to existing financing. We thought it was a great deal. Well, in the last 3 months, we replaced a furnace, a sewer line, the gutters. We had to regrade the property. We just put a new refrigerator in there the other day. We're never, ever, ever going to cash flow on this house. And I was like, I wish I had $50 a month.
Oh no. So big parcels don't scare you away. And what is like the biggest parcel that you've sold?
Biggest parcel I've ever bought and sold was 40 acres.
40 acres. Okay.
So I'm not doing those massive, like I've got some guys in the land sharks community. They're doing 1,000-acre parcels and they're subdividing them. I don't do that because it takes too long. I just want to get in and out, and preferably, hopefully get a seller financing note on it. My sweet spot seems to be anywhere from 1/4 acre to 5 acres is where I've done the most. And that's just where I feel comfortable. That's where I like to play. I've got some guys that they love the 10-acre parcels. So it's, Florida, it's harder to find bigger parcels too in Florida. Colorado, you can get 40-acre parcels all day long.
So a couple things. If I wanted to see the land that you have for sale, do you have a website that I could go to, or is it all done like Facebook?
I'll tell you, yes, vacantlandofthefree.com. And we have not updated it in a while because really the realtors have been selling it. I used to put all of them on vacantlandofthefree.com. I still have stuff on there. That's so before I started using realtors, I had to employ one virtual assistant and one full-time, the virtual assistant
marketing person,
and one full-time outbound caller, because he would have to call everyone that would send an email or like basically ask about the parcel of land. We were putting it on Facebook and Craigslist. We were putting signs out. We were putting on land.com and Land Watch and Land Moto and Land Hub. That was a lot of work. I was able to eliminate all that by buying land that's in higher demand that realtors want to sell, because the land specialist realtors usually have subscriptions to all those things I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. So I eliminated 2 people plus thousands of dollars a month. So yes, you can go to vacantlandofthefree.com and see the stuff that we still have on there.
Okay.
I haven't been on there in a while.
I understand. I don't go to my website. So fun to get it. Totally get it. I need to.
Go, like literally, we still got some, we bought a bunch more Arizona properties. You can go on there and buy a parcel of land, make a down payment and a doc fee, and we'll like literally sell it. We've had people go on and just buy it right off the website.
Are you always using an attorney to draw up the paperwork, or do you have like standard documents now that, you figured out the secret sauce and you don't need to, or because every state is different, you got to play different rules? I mean, just curious about how you do that. And title work too.
I lean pretty heavy on attorneys. every time we do a mortgage, a deed of trust, a promissory note, I always have an attorney draw it up. And if the title company has one, like, cause it's arm's length, I want to kind of have that, third party type
Mhm.
thing. Now, when we sell a parcel of land, one of our cheaper parcels, and the buyer wants to save money on title insurance and all that, we will draw up the warranty deed for them. We give them a warranty deed, and if there's any issues, we'll correct it. Yeah. So when I buy land now, though, I used to buy a lot of this without title insurance.
Right.
Dumb. Like, I got away with it for many years. So I don't recommend that to anybody. Like, we've gotten land for free before. You should still do a title search at a minimum,
Mhm.
because one time I inherited $157,000 IRS tax lien.
Uh-oh.
That was a funny story. The lady was calling me for 2 years, take the land out of my name. And I was like, I didn't know what to tell her. Like, I left it in the filing cabinet because, like, I had it sold. I got it. I paid about $300 and something for it. I had to open up her husband that had passed away. I had to reestablish his corporation. And then once I had it sold, basically we went to the title company. It was sold for $16,000. And we found out there was that $157,000 IRS tax lien on it. So I was like, okay, let me figure out what to do. And luckily we didn't put it in my name yet. So I waited a couple of years, got some education, hired a coach. He said, listen, try it again. Sometimes those things fall off. I resold it for $38,000. So I got a $500 and something a month payment for multiple years. So it turned out to be a pretty good deal.
Now, do you try to keep it out of your name when you're buying it? Or do you put it in your personal name?
No, it always goes into, so I have an S corporation for my quick flips and my land. I'll do an assignment of contract on. So sometimes I'll wholesale land or just quick flip it. So we'll buy that in our S corporation.
Okay.
Now for the land that I'm like, listen, I really want to sell or finance this land. I'll buy it my long-term land holding LLC, and I'll sell or finance it from that LLC.
So it'll be your Florida LLC, even though it's an Arizona property. That's okay.
Yeah, so it's a little complicated. It's actually Colorado LLCs because I started them while I was out there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, we bought in like 8 states from Colorado LLC. So thank God, knock on wood, I've been okay so far.
Haven't had to fly out there to handle anything.
Well, I've never stepped foot on any of this Arizona land. I have a parcel I own 20 minutes away, and I finally drove to it today because it's been like, I think, Rick, you were saying that summertime in Florida is slow and in Virginia it's a little faster.
Oh, yeah.
Land slows down in Florida. So I'm like, I'm going to go out there and get the phone ringing today. So I have a parcel I just put on there, land for sale, $282 a month, my phone number, because I want to get this thing sold. Like, I got 3 or 4 parcels that have just been sitting for 30 days. So now I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
So that's your rule of thumb. If you have a parcel that you've been holding on to, that it's not sold after 30 days, you're taking either price action or playing with the monthly payment amount.
Yes.
Or interesting.
Yeah, 30 days is when the alarm goes off, and it's like, okay, we got to change something up. And usually, what gets the job done every time? Signs. Those signs, it's just, I can't explain it. It's just something about signs. We had 6 parcels in Palm Bay, Florida that just weren't moving. They were listed with a real estate agent. I went out and wrote signs in Spanish. I don't know Spanish. I just use Google Translate. And they sold within a couple of weeks to one buyer.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. So can you you haven't been salesy, and I'd love to hear about your coaching program, how you do your coaching program, how it works. And so, please share how it works and what people get out of it, how much it costs.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. I mean, good thing you guys are sitting down. I hope no one's driving, No. So we call it the Land Sharks, and it's been an incredible thing. So basically, I give my entire playbook. I give you step by step, like the exact process I take to pick a playground, to pick a market, to find the areas of demand, how to price that land, how to generate these offer letters that go out automatically. I like, this is a true introvert's dream, because I literally just bought a piece of land that I never had to speak to the seller. It came back signed and I can pull it up if you guys want to share, maybe to share the screen or anything like that. I get nervous when I do that, but I can show you what it looked like. But we bought it for 15,000. We have a buyer for 30,000. I never spoke to the seller except for a couple of times via email. And like, I literally thanked him for trusting me after the deal was done. He said, "You bet." And that was it. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, holy cow, like, why do I put my phone number on these things? So that's how we do it with the land sharks. I show you a way to generate purchase agreements to landowners. They come back signed, and you do your due diligence, figure out if you want to buy it or not, or if you want to sign the contract, basically wholesale the land. I recommend everyone, buy it and sell it, seller financing, but sometimes people don't have the cash for that, or they don't know the private lenders for that, and they just need to get some quick wins. So the whole system is built on quick wins. I'm going to give you steps to take immediately, and they're action steps. And these action steps will bring you a result. And that's where the education comes from. My course is not education. It's literally pretty much kicking you in the butt to make you move and go. And then we do multiple support calls a week. That way we answer the questions, because I can just tell you exactly what to do. You're going to do it, and you're always going to have questions or obstacles or hurdles. I have a full-time assistant coach, William Radford, that's been through 5 real estate crashes. They get access to him through the support group. I give everyone my cell phone number, and we charge $7,500 for the program. And we offer payments at 0% interest if someone needs that. It's got to be a blessing, though, not a burden. We take on roughly about 5 to 6 people a month, because we keep it small, because I'm still a full-time land investor, full-time father, Christian husband. Like, this is not like, at one time this was it took over my life. Now it's just what provides my lifestyle freedom.
Awesome. Awesome. And that 75, basically, is it infinitum, or is it for a year of support? How do you work
I
that?
love that word. I've never heard it, infinitum, because I call it lifetime. As long as I'm alive and we're doing the land sharks, there's no more fees. So there's not 6 months, not 1 year, because here's the thing. I just had a single mother of 4, Alana Cohen. I just did a podcast with her on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I'm one of the 3 hosts on that podcast. Every single Friday, I have an episode that comes out, and it's a mini case study. I hold one of my students' feet to the fire, and I literally just had Brian bought a piece of land for $4,500 and sold it for $25,000 on his first land deal. And he's a roofing contractor. And he told me from beginning to end how he found it, everything he did, how he sold it. So Alana Cohen, a single mother of 4, last Friday, this one came out. It took her almost 9 months, but she's on her 7th land deal now.
Very cool. Very cool. I just never had anyone to emulate when I'm, during my strong real estate days. So this has been very interesting. And I feel like I've monopolized the conversation. I feel it's just like you and me, Brent. So I would love to be quiet and see if anybody else would unmute themselves and throw out their questions to you. So
no, thank God, Rick. I appreciate you doing that, because it allowed me to take breaths. I'm really an introvert at heart, I think.
me too.
It's funny. It's like, Brent, what both Rick and I are actually pretty introverted, but we're very good fakers. I think all 3 of us are.
It's exhausting after these meetings. Yeah, exactly.
Tell my kids, don't talk to me. And that's the thing. Like, we got to be careful about that as fathers and mothers. Like, we can't give all of our best fruit to people throughout the day.
Love.
Come home and just give the negativity and the tiredness to our families. I'm spent. Don't talk to me. No, keep some of that in reserve for the people that you love.
Definitely. So who else has questions? Definitely. No, I've actually loved how it's been. It's been like a little bit of an interview. And so it's awesome. But who else has questions? Come on, somebody has to have questions.
Brandy, your husband builds homes. Do you have any questions?
No, unfortunately we don't. But I mean, I definitely was intrigued by the land part because again, we've been focused on I mean, my husband, he did flips for years down in the Richmond area. But we're in getting back into this market more serious and thinking about the burn method and all that stuff, we never really, we kind of discounted the land piece. So it was really interesting to hear Brent's perspective and approach and how that worked out. And funny enough, we actually went to the treasurer's office here in Orange yesterday to get the tax liens. We do use PropStream, we have that. And we actually know the treasurer in Orange. It's small town, so that's helps too. But we're going to start trying to attend some of these land auctions here. We've not done that before. And definitely going to send out the signs, the postcards, all that kind of stuff. But no, I appreciate your presentation and the talk and everything. Brent, it was very, very resourceful.
Thank you, Brandy.
One of the things that I remember my client doing, and again, all you other people out there, please ask your questions because I'll keep going with my silly questions. We had a client that would purposely try to buy a home so that he could get traditional financing, but he wanted a home with an extra lot. And that was his sweet spot. And we had a couple clients that took advantage of this and ended up getting one home, 2 lots, and then he built on that extra lot. And I mean, I was always jealous of him securing that because he only had to put, 3.5%, 5% down, traditional financing. And then he got that second lot basically for free and was able to,
brilliant.
Yeah. But that's really, I've never bought any land, and that's why I have 20,000 questions. I love to buy land. I think of it all the time, but I think of it more in the sideline of, I'd like to put something on it. Like at one point I was thinking of, I'd like to put, RV spots, things like that, or converting that land into something that that would provide income.
Yeah.
I never thought of the way you doing it is just selling the land and using it as a financing tool to continuously get mailbox money every month by financing land.
Now every once in a while we keep a parcel that we have. So we just sold one 2 days ago, a new build, and we weren't as profitable as what we had planned on it. But we've done, that was my third new build now. The first one was like $90,000 profit. The second one was 22,000 profit. And this last one, $1,700 profit. So I'm getting worse and worse at it. So I don't think I'm going to do it for a little while. But we have another project. We purchased, it was almost 4 acres. No, 3 acres, 2.77 acres actually in Colorado Springs. And this is a longer play. It was 2 years ago. We purchased it now next to a golf course on a 4-lane highway, Academy Boulevard in Colorado Springs. But we're building 34 townhomes on it. And it's not just me, it's multiple partners. The land's paid for free and clear. But that's going to be a pretty good deal, but it's going to be more of a longer term play. And I'm not a builder by any means. Thank God my partners are spearheading this. And they're probably pretty aggravated with me because they meet every Friday at like 5 o'clock my time. And I'm only show up to about one every 2 months. But I'm talking about Zoom calls, but
Right.
I get the updates and, we're moving along type thing.
Now, do you ever, like you used your, was it your mom or your stepmom or your mother-in-law that you partnered with her to get money? Is there anything that you could share? I've got some money on the sidelines, but it's tied up in my IRA. And do you entertain that? Is that something you'd be interested in, partnering with somebody who's got money in an IRA, or is that just too much hassle? You like people?
No, I love working with people that have IRAs, or, as long as like it works for you, if you have a custodian or a self-directed or check writing abilities, depending on the deal. So I work with a lot of private lenders. I shouldn't say a lot, several private lenders. And basically I just figure out like how much money you have, like how much money do you want to work for you? You know, what interest rate do you want to see? And how long do you want it working for you? And I put you down on my Excel spreadsheet. And as I look at deals, I look at land deals every single day, Monday through Friday. And when I have one, if I don't have the cash in my account to buy it, because I still am a real estate investor at heart, my CFO, I have a fractional CFO. He tells me, listen, you need to get more lending. You need to use more private lenders so you can build up your cash reserves. Because I learned this the hard way when I literally fire sold those 3 houses. Because he asked me a couple of years ago, he's like, you know, how much money would you have in an account if you would not have any of your own money in these deals? I was like, over $1 million. He goes, do you think you'd be fire selling 3 houses right now if you use private lenders and you had $1 million in the account? I said, I understand. He said, yes, you're thinking like a real estate investor, not a businessman. So I'm trying to get away from that. I'm trying to use more private lenders for these land deals and pay them out, you know, the interest rates. So yeah, I entertain that for sure. And I just try and marry the parcel of land to your lending wants and needs.
I gotcha. Okay. And so I saw you put your cell phone number in the chat. Did you also want to provide your email? We could put it in the presentation, or do you prefer just texting?
Yeah, text me, call me. I'm the worst with the email. I'll give it to you, but I can't
No.
promise.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. I already put it in the presentation, so you know that way we can just share it with the rest of the group. Now, in terms of the investing, so I have a self-directed IRA, and what Anna and I do, you know, we actually become accidental owners of property in Mississippi. And so there's a little bit of lead time is what I find with the IRA. So I don't know how quickly these land deals, you have to quickly jump, because I've got some money tied up into a trust that I could probably deploy, but it's not as big as the big IRA money that the custodian has to kind of parse out. So how quickly do you need to have responses? And
4 to 6 weeks is usually what my
okay.
I went on vacation, so I ended up having to extend one of my closings to 7 weeks, and the title company asked me, can you send us an amendment? I was like, for what? And she's like, because you're extending the closing. And I was like, it says 4 to 6 weeks. Do we really need an amendment? She goes, oh, no, you're right. Sometimes sellers will cross that out and they'll put the date that they want you to close by. And I'll obviously try and respect that.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome.
4 to 6 weeks.
Gotcha. That's plenty of time. I should be able to get my stuff together with the custodian.
Landowners are usually less emotional about land. They didn't raise their family in this house. Like they're like they've owned it for years sometimes, or they inherited it from Uncle Bob and they didn't like Uncle Bob, so they just want to get rid of it at a discount. So land is so much less emotional than houses. I used to go sit on these dirty couches, and I wanted to throw my shoes away before I got in my truck to leave there.
Understand. Yeah, totally. Well, cool. Well, I'm gonna take a breath here. I'm done with my questions. If anybody else has any questions, otherwise, it's been a delight to talk to you.
Yes, thank you